Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap up, so let's just dive straight in. I read 10 things, I believe, so yeah, we're going to start off with Descender Volume 1, Tin Stars. I believe it's definitely by Jeff Lemire, but then other people, I can't remember what the artist is, stars. But yes, fun fact, I read this while I was stood waiting to watch Aurora at the beginning of April. I went to see Aurora, it was amazing. I cried again, I cried both times I went to see her because she's so good. But yeah, when I was waiting in the crowd for it to come and I was just reading this on my phone. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was very sci-fi, it throws you straight into the deep end of the storyline. There's these big massive robots that are like bigger than planets. And then they come and they get nasty and then it's like 10 years later or something, or maybe longer than that. And then that's where the story starts. And they're trying to figure out what is in these robots and how they're programmed so they can try and make them, if they ever come back, try and fight them in some way. And yeah, it's very AI like the film because one of the characters is a little robot boy, so it has those elements. And then like Star Wars, only in the sense that there's all these different planets with the different races on and stuff. There's no lightsabers, but yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. After that, I finished another online thing, and that was The Weight of Our Sky by, I can't remember, but basically I saw Kayla over at Books and Lala talk about the book version of this, but this was the webtoon that I read. And first of all, such hassle to read this. So I heard her talking about the book, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I tried to find it online and it said something like 13 chapters, and I was like, cool, that'll be easy, I'll read through. I read the 13 chapters and then there was more chapters, but it was one of them ones where it was like, oh, download the app and then every day you can open another chapter. So I did that for a few days and that was getting tedious because it turns out there's 52 chapters and I'd read 13 of them, so that was a long time. Then accidentally I found it again online where I could just read them all in one go. So I read them, the rest of them all in one go. But yeah, this was really good. It was based off, is it the 80s? I don't want to say too much because I don't actually know much about this. This is about Malaysian and Chinese people that at some point in history there was this riot thing that happened. Don't know much about it, I only know what I've read in here. And it all kicked off and people died on both sides, and it follows this one girl who's stuck in the middle of it, and she's trying to find her mum, and she's also trying to just not get killed in this big massive crazy riot that's happening between these different peoples. Also, she has OCD, so she has the sort of OCD that she's always paranoid and thinking that her mum's gonna die if she doesn't do all the things that she needs to do, and is presented in the book and in the web comic as a djinn. So it's like she's got this djinn on her that's doing all this nasty evil stuff, but really it's obviously mental health. And yeah, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed this. It was one of my favourite things I read this month, and it was a complete random pickup because I saw Kayla talking about it and I found it online. So yeah, really good. It taught me something about a piece of history that I didn't know, and the characters were great, the mental health rep was great, the artwork was really engaging as well. When I was looking at it, it really dragged me in. So good times. After that I read Wranglestone by Darren Charlton. This one I really enjoyed. It's not something that I read very often. It's zombies. So basically in here all the characters live on a lake and they have little islands in the lake, and they each have the house on a different island. And then when it's winter, the lake freezes, and then all the zombies can walk on the frosty and get to the houses, so they have to make it not happen and make themselves not get killed. So just in general, I don't read a lot of zombie things, but I just really enjoyed this. I thought it was very different, it was very interesting. It's also a series, I don't know if it's going to be a duology or what, but it's definitely book one of whatever. And some very interesting things happened. I really liked the characters. There's also a budding gay romance in the middle of this, so another thing I've never read about. You don't really see gay romances mixing with the horror. Is it horror? Thriller? There's not lots of horror-y stuff doing, but it is creepy in places because obviously E.T. people. But yeah, I thought this was really good. I very much enjoyed it. This I took with me when I went to Aurora. and I read a whole bunch of it while I was there on the train and in the Airbnb at night, and I was just very engaging. I was like eating the story up. Very tasty, very easy to read, very enjoyable. Good times. After that I read Sunny by Jason Reynolds. This is the third book in the Track series. Side note, online this is called the Track series and the Run series, and it's really annoying because I'm like, why are there two different names for this series when they're the same thing? Tracking and running is the same, and it's annoying because I was trying to Google it and figure out which is the right one, but both of them exist. Why would you call your series two different things? I don't know, but it did. So this is the third book in the series. There's 4 books. Each of the books follows a different character on this track team. They're middle grade, so they're really easy to read. It's like crazy big writing in here. There's your example. And with this one, it's a lot about expectations on Sunny. So Sunny's mum died in childbirth, and his father definitely has all these expectations on top of him. His mum loved running, so he has to love running. And it's about him figuring out that he doesn't actually want to run, he doesn't want to be in the track team anymore, but he feels like he has to, he feels this pressure on himself. It doesn't matter how good he does, it doesn't matter how many races he wins, there's always more pressure, like, yeah, you won, but you didn't run as well as you could, or you didn't breathe well, or you could have done this better, or you could have done that better. So it's all these expectations put upon him. It's also written differently to the other 2 books. It's like a diary, this one is, so it's very much in his head with him writing down stuff on the diary. This, and because of the diary aspect, there's probably the least amount of the other characters in this story compared to the other books in the series, but we do get bits and pieces with those other characters through this, and like I said, there's 1 book left in the series, so it's good. After that I read The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ankrum. Side note, the fact I read a book called The Weight of the Stars and The Weight of Our Sky this month is very random. I didn't realise until I was looking at them written down side by side. But anyway, this book I enjoyed, but it was weird. Not in a bad way, but it's like, it doesn't really have much of a storyline, to be honest. It's very much about these characters getting to know each other, but also there's a little bit of this sci-fi element of some sort of competitor to NASA, who is a private company, several years before sent up some people into space. So that's a thread going through. There's a new girl at school and they find out that she's the daughter of one of these people that went out into space. So there's a bit of a space link through there, but mostly it's just about the characters. Also, this has the main characters from The Wicker King make an appearance in here. So I knew that, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. And then when I saw them, I was just like, no way, that's so cool, because this takes place quite a while afterwards. I didn't know how they were going to turn up, but they're actually adults now in this book. So when I saw them, I was like, no way, I love that. So yeah, I very much enjoyed the cameo, enjoyed seeing them again. It made me want to read The Wicker King again, because that was also very much character insular, but it was like more, like this times 10. The one thing about this, a lot of the characters are very unlikable for a lot of it. I did end up enjoying it. I liked reading it, but the book, one of the books I read after this, also suffered from a really unlikable character, and it felt like one on top of the other, so I think I disliked that one more than this one. But yeah, the characters are just knobheads really, but also they were dealing with stuff and that's just how they dealt with it. So yeah, I enjoyed this. It wasn't my favourite. I definitely loved The Wicker King more, but I really enjoy Kay Ankrum's writing style. It's all in like little vignettes, little snippets. All the chapters are 1 or 2 pages long. It's like little bits, and I just really enjoy reading that because you can just eat it up so quickly and get through the book so quickly. I like that they're based on the characters. The storyline was interesting, even though there wasn't much of it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So we're halfway through. That was the first 5. I'm going to head on over to the spons and then I should do the last 5 for you. So yeah, here are the kits. It's what you're all here for, I know. The kits. How long is that kitten on my lap? The one with the really cute face. So next up I read Peter Parker Spider-Man One Small Break. This is because it was one of the only books I had in it that had a number in, and that was the Buzzwordathon thing, was a book with a number in, I think. Big and Little. I knew it wasn't numbers. I said it out loud and I thought that doesn't sound right. Big and Little, and this has the word small in it. So yeah, the Buzzwordathon theme was big and little, so words like small, big, large, massive, huge, tiny. And I had like 3 books that I could put in here. One of them was A Little Life, and I'm not reading a book this big. No, I'm alright. So that's why I picked up this Spider-Man comic. It was fine. It was alright. There were like 3 contained stories in here, 3 or 4. The first and the last one I thought were really good. The middle one was very much about baseball, and I don't care about baseball. And there was just a lot of baseball in it. Like, all the panels were just talking about baseball, and I was like, you know what, I don't actually care. I know it's meant to be this bonding thing that he did with his uncle that died. We all know the story. But I didn't care. So that bit was a bit of a drag. But other than that, it was fine. And this is the sort of artwork we had in here. Then I read The Summer of Everything by Julian Winters. This is the one I mentioned a minute ago. So one of the characters in here annoyed me. She got alright towards the end, but at the beginning she was just an absolute bitch. She was a dickhead. And I don't understand this character type that people have chosen to put in books now. So hear me out. For a very long while there was this thing to include the I don't give a damn black female best friend who was, you know, very much a stereotype. And then people called that out. And then authors have sort of just a tiny little bit. So now the new archetype of best friend is very over-the-top feminist, who's feminist in a way that's not feminist because she hates men, and she's really sassy to the point of being a knobhead to people, and she's also overweight. Like, that is the new stereotype for the best friend archetype, and it's annoying. And I don't know why it's necessary. Don't get me wrong, this feminist, over-the-top, man-hating, overweight woman is also quite often still black. I don't think she was in here, she was a white woman, but yeah, I don't know why it's a thing that people have to put in here. To the point where, like, our main character is literally talking about her and says that, oh yeah, she never apologises, so she never apologises if she's wrong. That's just part of her personality. She's a knobhead. And she was always late for work, and that really annoyed me, because I'm like, you've got this really cush job where you don't really have to do much. You work in a bookstore, you can waltz in whenever you want. The old lady that runs it seems like a really nice lady, and you're just taking liberties and coming in late every day, and you're a knob. So yeah, she annoyed me. Like I say, I think after a little while she got better, she redeemed herself a little bit, but it also had that thing where there was a fallout of her and her best friend, who is like the main character in here, and then she took it personally and got Mardy, even though we already know that she never apologises for anything, but she expects all the apologies back if somebody else does something. No. It annoys me. But other than that, I enjoyed this book. Like I mentioned, they work in this bookstore, and the bookstore is going to be taken over by some sort of chain coffee company, and they're trying to save the bookstore and come up with ways to save the bookstore. And also the main character is in love with his best friend, and he doesn't know how to say anything or whether he should say anything because it's his best friend, and he doesn't want to change anything, but he does want to change something because he's in love with him. And also they're both going to uni soon, and they're going to different unis, so should they do something or should they not, because in a few months they're going to be somewhere else anyway. So yeah, it was that. It was contemporary. It was good. I very much enjoyed it. At the beginning I did get annoyed at that character. I think it was also the little remnants of reading The Weight of Our Stars and also having very, like, antagonistic for no reason people in there. So I think that just added on to me reading this and being like, why is she such a bitch? Why do these books have to make the feminist character a knobhead? Like, feminism is good, but why did the books always have to make it so the character is over the top, so it makes it look like a bad thing? But yeah, other than that, I enjoyed the book. Then I read A Killer's Confession and A Mother's Fight for the Truth by Karen Edwards. This is strange because this happened in 2011, but I don't remember any of this happening. And surely it was on TV and stuff about this bodies being found and women getting killed and stuff, but I can't remember any of this, which is strange. But yeah, basically in 2011, this guy was found to have killed this woman, and then he says to police officers, do you want another one? And takes him to the skeleton of a woman he had killed 8 years previously. And it was Karen Edwards' daughter, Becky, who had been missing for these 8 years, obviously. And this is her story, and it's just really, it really shows how unjust the justice system is. a lot of the time. So basically, this caught me because one of like the main taglines in here is the fact that the police officer, the detective that found him, got punished more than the actual murderer. So the detective that found this guy and managed to get 2 bodies out of him. The guy, let me remember his name because I can't just keep saying this. Christopher Halliwell. So Christopher Halliwell was the murderer, and he admitted it. He showed them to 2 bodies. One of them they didn't even know was a person that they were looking for. They didn't even know she was missing. And then he pleads not guilty. And then the justice system says that, oh, they should have took him straight to the police office, straight to the station, questioned him there as soon as he admitted that he'd taken this woman. I think her name was Cian, the first one, like the main woman that this happened to. And then obviously the detective was going back saying, well, no, because if we took him straight to the police station, he wouldn't have took us to the body. I thought she might still be alive. So that sort of covered that. Yeah, that's kind of reasoning. They were still trying to make it out like he did something wrong. And then they said, well, as soon as he'd found the body and he'd said that he'd got another person, you should have took him straight to the police station, questioned him there. You shouldn't have taken him to find the body of this woman that we didn't even know were missing. And he says, well, as soon as they got to the police station, Christopher Halliwell said no comment to everything the whole time. So they would never have got this body of this girl, Karen's daughter. But it got taken off of the trial. So he was meant to go on trial for both of the murderers, and because this weird random police policy where you should, it's called PACE, you should take them to the station as soon as I say something, because of this, and this was broken, that was apparently worse than a guy literally admitting to and taking the detective to the body of a woman. So the case for Becky got thrown out of the court, and he only got done for the murder of Cian. I think her name was Cian, and I feel bad because this is a woman that got murdered, so let me just have a look. I'm pretty sure it was Cian, but let me just make sure. Yes, it was. I'm not being a dick. So yeah, he went to court and went to prison for Cian's murder. The whole time that this was going on, Karen Edwards and their family were not allowed to tell anybody that the case for Becky had been kicked out, so people were asking them, oh, how's the case going? And they weren't allowed to say, well, there is no case now because apparently a detective not following these rules is worse than a literal murderer taking somebody to the body of a person. And then it's about her fight for justice, several years of petitioning and going on shows and radios and talking about this. Finally they did go to court and he did get done for it, but this whole thing is a ride. There's also a TV show called A Confession. I've not watched it yet, but I do want to see how they go about this case. But yeah, the detective got done for misconduct, he lost his job. The father of Becky also put in a complaint about him because apparently it was his fault that Christopher Halliwell didn't get done for Becky's murder, even though if it wasn't for him they literally wouldn't even know that Becky was dead, because people around town kept saying that they'd seen her places, so they didn't even know she was proper missing. So yeah, this detective got his whole life kicked open. The parents, the mum, didn't get justice for several years. And the murderer that actually took the police to the body of this person they didn't even know they were looking for got to not go to trial for it, got his confession on tape, didn't count anymore. They weren't allowed to put it, it was inadmissible in court. How can a confession that leads you to a body be not said in court? How is that the whole truth and nothing but the truth? It's wild, it's crazy, it was annoying. He finally did get done for it. And then in the case when they did get done, several years later, they could use all the information they got, so the detective shouldn't have got done for it in the first place because they could use it. But his whole life had been uprooted. He had to go and find a job in a different country because nobody would employ him because he had this misdemeanor against him, this misconduct thing against him. So yeah, I've explained all that really badly, but I'm sure you get the gist of it. It was harsh to read about, but also good that they finally got justice. And yeah, there's a TV show as well, so I'm going to watch that at some point. Moving on to something slightly less dramatic, I read The Boy from the Mish by Gary Lonesborough. Side note, this is called, I think it's called Ready When You Are in North America, like America, Canada. So if you're looking for this book, it's probably called Ready When You Are, I think. but it's called The Boy from the Mish originally. This is about an Indigenous Australian teen discovering his sexuality. It's about him, his family, the summer that they have, and it was really good. And its own voices as well, and I very much enjoyed it. It was great to just read about them in Australia, because I don't know if I've read many books in Australia. Even Australia authors like Sophie Gonzalez has to write books set in America to get them published, you know what I mean? So it's really nice to actually read about an Australian character in Australia who is also Indigenous. So obviously it does deal with racism. There's also this whole culture of whether he can be gay in his culture. There's also just a really nice culture in like painting and family and enjoying nature. It was really good. So yeah, check it out. And then last but not least, I read The Last Firefox by Lee Newberry. This is a middle grade about a boy who accidentally stumbles into this magical kingdom. We're not into it, next to it. There's a door that opens. This dude comes through and he says, "Hey bro, look after this firefox for me. It's the last one. The king's after it. Take care. Bye-bye." So we get stuck with this fox who literally becomes fire when he's sad or angry or hungry or many emotions. And the hijinks that ensue. There's this evil creature from the place that's after the fox because he's the last one. He's also very cute. And yeah, this was a really good book. Very quick, fast-paced to read. The characters I enjoyed. I loved the little fox guy. He's so cute. He's always running about fighting stuff and then accidentally setting them on fire. But luckily for him, the main character, one of his dads, is a firefighter, so that helps a lot. Yes, one of his dads. This story has two dads in, and it's really nice because the author Lee Newberry is a gay man with a baby. So he probably wrote this for his future, well, not his future kid, he has a kid already, but for when they grow up they can read this and it'll be really nice and sweet. But this is really cool because it's like an allegory of finding your inner fire and being able to stand up for yourself. Because Charlie, the main character, he gets bullies at school and he feels like he can't be a good big brother because his dad's are on about adopted another kid, and he very much wants to, but then he realises, well, I'm not brave and I can't stick up for him. I can't stick up for myself, so how am I going to protect this new baby brother or sister? So it's like him finding his fire and finding his inner bravery, but also whilst having a literal fire animal and like a bad monster chasing after him. So yeah, it was a good time. It's also got some really nice illustrations throughout. Let me find a cute one. There you go, there's a little flame boy stealing some sausages. So yeah, it was a nice book to end the month on and I really enjoyed it. It was sweet, it was fun, it was good. Animals are cute, especially when they can accidentally set stuff on fire. And there we have it. Those were the 10 things that I read in April. Let me know down below if you read any of them, if any sound interesting. What did you read in April? Anything good? Let me know. And yeah, if this is your first video by me, enjoy it, then please check out some of the others. And if you continue to enjoy, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video.